Welcome everybody to another Wednesday webinar series by Sundog. This is about how to become a Microsoft Teams ninja. And today we're going to go ahead and talk about teams within Teams. If you attended our last session, which is recorded and on our YouTube video, or our YouTube channel, you will be able to find part one of this series, which we really went in depth on Teams chat. So much power in there, so much functionality. But it's quite a lot. So I would highly recommend you hit our YouTube channel and view part one of this series, and you can get caught up. And today we'll deep dive into the actual Teams section of Microsoft Teams. I did want to let everyone know that if you got a question, just move your mouse down to the bottom of your screen. You're going to see either a Q&A button or a chat. Either one is just fine. Rich is going to be monitoring the chat session. So if you've got a question, feel free to just go ahead and ask your question there. And Rich will interrupt me along the way, and we'll make sure that we get everything answered from you all. Really excited about today, and I did want to introduce myself first. I'm Colin Barnes. I'm President and CEO of Sundog IT, and I've got today with me Rich Cackery. He's our account manager. All of our clients out there, if you've ever worked with us, you know Rich pretty well because you'll deal with him on quite a regular basis. So Rich, thanks for helping me out today. It's absolutely wonderful. I am in our conference room, so I'm going to be looking at a big monitor. If I keep looking up, it's what I'm focusing on right now. And since you all can see my screen, let's just go ahead and kick it off. So the question I get all the time is, why would I want a team versus chat? And like I said, we covered chat pretty heavily last time, but if you can see, I'll just show you really quick. If I click on my chats, you can see I'm in chats constantly. Have a ton of them today, yesterday, you name it. Chat is a wonderful way to have that one-on-one quick dialogue with someone, or one-on-one quick dialogue with a group of people. But chat is just that. It's just made to be right in the moment. It's instant messaging at its finest, going back and forth. And if you are away from your desk for a few hours, you're going to miss out on some chats. It won't tell you how to get back. You get multiple people that could be engaged in a single chat session. So you've got multiple threads, multiple topics, and it can be a little difficult unless you're right there in the moment dialoguing with everyone. So chat is great for that instant messaging component, but Microsoft Teams is where, or Teams in Microsoft Teams is where the real action can be. And what I mean by that is a team is usually created if it's by department, right? Or like a big project an organization is doing. So it's going to become more aware to you why you would do a team as we go through this, so you can see some of the features. So feel free, I'm just going to dive right in. Feel free to ask questions as we go along, and I will elaborate. But like I've told many of our clients before, the pace of innovation that's happening at Microsoft right now is fast. And Microsoft Teams is evolving at a rapid rate. Something that may not be available there today, most likely is going to be available there tomorrow. Some things you may really wish it had and it doesn't, but I pretty much can guarantee that Microsoft is focused on Microsoft Teams being a productivity enhancement tool for communication within organizations. So it is going to continue to evolve, and it's going to continue to get better. But for me, I am in Teams daily, and it is an incredibly powerful tool for me within my organization, and also engaging people outside my organization that are on the Microsoft platform as well. All right, so Teams. I mentioned chat, but if you come over to your Teams tab, for those that have Teams, you may or may not see one in there. And if you don't, that's okay. It'd be perfect time to create your first team. And easily how you do it, you just go down to the bottom right here, click on join or create a team, make it really easy for you, create a team. Go ahead and build from scratch. You can make it private or public. Private means you'll actually just pick who has access to this particular team within your organization. If you go public, that means anyone in your organization can join, not outside your organization, but anyone within your organization can have access to that team. You go ahead and give your team a name. We'll just call it test team right now. And you hit create. Bam. Super easy. Nice work. All right, this is where you can add members now if you want. I'm just going to go ahead and skip. And the team was created. I wanted to go through that really quickly just so you can see how easy it is to name a team. But I've already created a team for today's webinar that we're going to hop over to called the demo team. So to talk about tools that are available, if I go to the demo team, and every team that you have automatically creates a general channel. And I'll talk about channels here in a second, but if I click on general, by default, it'll have a general tab, a files tab, and a wiki tab. What is the difference? Like, why would you chat in Teams as opposed to in the chat session itself? Something that's important and a big differentiator between regular chat and Microsoft Teams chat is if someone new comes into the conversation, so let's say I hired a new person and I wanted to add them to the demo team. When I add them, they're going to have access to the entire history of all the chat that has gone on since the inception of that particular team. But if I was in a chat session with their predecessor or a few other people and I add someone to a regular chat group, they only start seeing the new chats that have come up. So they lose all of that history. It's just gone. So that's one thing that's nice about having the chat within the team itself and within a channel, is because you have the historical access to all that chat. But also it has another cool feature where Rich earlier said, hello, Cohen. So I was like, cool. I was able to hit reply to Rich's chat. In the regular chat sessions up here, you have no ability to hit reply to an individual message. And what that means is, here, I'll show you. Here's Rich and I chatting earlier. I can't hit reply to any of his messages. Why is that important, you ask? Well, as I mentioned, when multiple people, in the case especially in a team channel here, we could have 10, 15, we have 20 people in some of the teams here at Sundog. It's really easy for someone to post a question and then two other people post a question and then someone says, good night, everybody. And next thing you know, that chat history is gone. I can't see it. Or if I hit reply to, like I saw Rich ask me a question and three other people post some other questions, and then I want to reply to Rich's, I can reply to that in the chat session itself. But now Rich's original question and my reply are separated by multiple chats. If I actually reply to Rich's question like I did here, you can capture a conversation then within one chat. So in the future, it'd be easy if I search for, when did Rich ask me hello? I can search for that. I'll find his original chat and I'll find all the replies associated with that. Why that's important? Imagine if you were collaborating on an office move and you had a conversation about the office administration personnel and you had a conversation about the plant people. Rather than all that getting mixed together, it's a nice way to be able to keep those conversations together via conversation by being able to actually reply to the chat itself. I hope that makes sense for you, but that's one of the reasons why chat is a little bit more powerful in a team than it is on regular chat, which again, I wish they wouldn't have called it chat. It's more just instant messaging kind of thing. So the question is, why a team, right? I mentioned that if you are going to do something large within your organization, a project that's going to involve multiple people, multiple days, multiple documents, or if it's just you want to break out your organization by departments, which you can see Sundog has here. I have our marketing, sales, leadership, management, accounting. That's how we segment off who has permission to see what. And that's how we compartmentalize where all our files are, where all our conversations are, where our OneNote notebooks are by the individual teams themselves. But besides doing it by departments, I created something I just wanted to show you really quick. Imagine you were going to move locations. So you may decide to create, you know what, let's create a separate team. We're going to call it Building Move. And within the Building Move, we're going to have our general section, which is just the miscellaneous catch-all for conversations and files and things like that. But you might want to set up a section for contractors where anything revolving the different contractors that are engaged in the Building Move, that's where you're going to store their bid proposals. That's where you're going to document the checklist that you're going to need to get authorization and approve spending for a particular contractor. You could have finance where the entire Building Move itself is all incorporated there. So working with the title companies or working with the broker or whatever it might be, that's where you just want to consolidate all that. And the finance data is something you really don't want others to have access to. So you just want to kind of segment that off within the whole Building Move project. And then you also have a design team and a moving team maybe. So the example I'm giving you here is, besides just doing like an accounting group like we have here at Sundog, those bigger things within your organization, and it could be a wide variety, it's your choice. You can create a team for anything you want. And the reason you would do that is when it's going to be multiple days, multiple people, and you want to have a separate area just carved out so you can have the collaboration within the team. And I'm going to talk about collaboration here in a second. But that's one of the reasons why, or one of the ways you can utilize a team. And again, if it was just a chat, or imagine if it was just a group email that you're going back and forth on, that really wouldn't be effective communication, because different attachments, different people reply to all, some reply to an individual. Microsoft Teams allows us to be able to consolidate all that information, all that collaboration around a single topic or a single department within Microsoft Teams. All right. Rich, don't forget to holler if anyone has a question. I know I'm throwing a lot out there.
Haven't had any yet.
Beautiful. All right. So I'm going to go to demo team. So here we are. I created a Microsoft team, and I want to show you some of the power within it. We talked about chat. Okay, I get it, Colin. It's kind of cool, reply, but I don't know. I can just use email for that. And you're right in some ways. But what else we can do is I can go to files. So imagine you have within your department, or we can go back to that building move, right? Here could be all the files of every bid that all the contractors have submitted, which would be a really nice way to be able to easily see what has happened within the bidding process. And now you've got historical reference that you can go back, compare quotes, things like that. Everyone in the team has access to these particular files here, right? What's really cool is in here, I can click on like the weekly attendance report. Yeah, let's do that. And it'll open it right up in Microsoft Teams. So this Excel spreadsheet, I didn't have to have Excel installed on my computer. So that's nice if I'm traveling and I'm sitting at someone else's computer and I want to be able to access the particular file that I have. And bear with me here. I had to scramble to a new computer right before this webinar. As always, technical companies even have some technical difficulties. But you can see here's the Excel spreadsheet that's up. I can go ahead and modify it just like I could in Microsoft Excel. But what's really cool about this feature is if Rich went into this file too, he could actually modify it simultaneously while I'm in it. And we would see each other's modifications happening as we access it. But let's say, you know what, this is a limited version of Excel because you can see the ribbon up here. It doesn't have half of what Microsoft Excel might have. I can actually click Open in Desktop App. And what that's going to do is that's going to open up this document in Microsoft Excel. You're not going to be able to see it open up on my side, but it's bringing up Microsoft Excel right now. And then it's going to bring up the spreadsheet so I can access it just like I would have been if it was coming off a server in my office or off the desktop of my computer.
And hey, Colin, we got a couple questions.
Yeah. Shoot.
First one is from Amy. It says, what are the subsections in each team, general, et cetera, referred to as? Channels.
And I'm going to cover channels here in just a sec, so we'll elaborate some more on those.
Okay. And second one from Colleen says, if we get a document emailed to us, can we save it to a team file, or does it have to be saved on the computer first?
And you guys are so smart. We're going to cover that as well, but let me make sure I don't miss out on the email. So yes, you can actually forward an email to a Microsoft Teams chat, and it'll show up there. And I'll do an example of that here in a second. All right, so let me go back to Teams. So we're in files. The other thing is the ellipses right here, they're really powerful in Teams. I would highly recommend whether you see them in front of a channel, whether you see them in front of a team, whether you see them in front of a file or a chat, always click on those. Because this one, if I click on it right now, it tells me I can copy a link to this file so I can send it to someone. I can make it its own tab, which I'll show you in a second. I can download it, I can move it, I can copy it, I can do all kinds of stuff. And that will allow us to be able to move that file around or give others access to it within a cloud environment, right? So files, and you can create new folders and anything that you want here, new folder, new documents. You can also just drag and drop any file, PDFs, CAD drawings, it doesn't matter. Anything that you want, you can go ahead and drag and drop in here or click on upload. And you can browse your computer and find the file that you want to go ahead and upload to this particular folder. I'll pick this one here. I'll just open it up. And as you can see, here it comes popping in and it's a PDF. Tells who it was modified by and the time it was actually put up in there. So pretty cool. So imagine now, right? We've got our chat. We've got the files that we're collaborating with. If we go back to that departmental mindset, imagine this is the leadership team and they're coordinating on an agenda to the board that they're going to be presenting to later this week. And the board agenda is in there. Now everyone can see it. They can open it. They can modify it. They can do anything they need with it. But within the chat or within the team itself, we have tabs at the top here. And we can add more. I added a few, and I'll show you how to add some here, but I just want to give you some examples of the power of it. So imagine you are, well, let's use that you're just leadership team and you're preparing for a board meeting, right? And there's going to be, your website is going to be on discussion. So your website is getting hit a lot right now. You're talking about a lot, or maybe it's a link to a particular funder for your organization that is going to be referenced a lot, and everyone would like to have access to that easily, whatever it might be. Bad explanation. But if I go ahead and click on right here, I actually added a website to the tab up here and a particular section. So in our case, I added the support center on our website. So it's a really neat way that within the team itself, if there's a website that people need to go to on a regular basis, or you're always referencing, it could be a vendor, it could be anything. It's really nice that you can just go ahead and, if you want, at the top, just add that as a link. Again, going back to the building move, maybe the website that we're going to is the city that you're actually moving to, so people can find out more about housing population, things like that, whatever it might be. And you can add multiple ones if you want. I also up here added, let's say we'll use the building move example, and there's a spreadsheet that everyone's putting all their data into, right? Now they could go to files and they can click on files and they could find the building move financial spreadsheet. They can click on it and they can enter their data. But if you want to make it really easy for people, you could easily just add a spreadsheet up here, and I can click on it. And what it'll do is it'll bring the spreadsheet up right here, just as one of the tabs. So rather than going to files, rather than browsing for what they need, the hot items, you could put a spreadsheet up here, you could put a PDF up here, you can put any file you want and just list it at the tab at the top. Furthermore, yeah.
I got a couple more questions too. If you
shoot.
From Eric, it says, I've never been happy with Excel's file sharing, simultaneous editing in the desktop app. Does this sharing feature appear to work better?
It's built up on the same technology. So remember when I was saying earlier about the pace of innovation at Microsoft has just been so rapid? While they've been introducing new technologies and bringing them into the Microsoft 365 platform and then bolting them into Teams, they've also been going through and addressing issues that they've been having out there. So it probably depends on what you're doing within the sharing of Excel. I mean, if you want that real-time back and forth collaboration, there's a little bit of a lag depending on people's internet connections, things like that. So I'd have to almost find out exactly what your issue was to be able to answer that question. But if it's been a while since you've actually done the collaboration feature within Excel's web app, I would give it another shot and try it again, because it works pretty darn well in Excel, Word, and OneNote on itself, but it does keep improving. What was your other question, Rich? Rich, you're muted.
Sorry. It's from Anna. It says, will the changes you make in the desktop version apply to the one in files and update at the same time?
Yep. That's one of the beautiful things about when you start moving to the Microsoft 365 platform. That file that you put into there, you could email that file to someone, and you could email them it'll show up in the attachment that you email them as an Excel spreadsheet. But when they click on it, it actually links back to the cloud version that's stored within, in this case, this particular team and in files. And when they modify it, they'd be modifying that version. You can also send them a copy. But what's really cool about that is, and I think we've all had this issue, where you send out something to 5 people and say, hey, take a look and let me know if you have any changes. And all 5 make modifications to the document and return it back to you. Well, that's not very helpful trying to coordinate all those changes. So it's really nice when you just send them a link to this particular file and they can modify it directly. Within your organization, that works really well. So to answer your question, yes, you put it in one place in here and you can link to it from so many other sources. So you only have that one master file that's getting updated. All right, so if I also wanted to show you another feature, let's see, Wednesday webinar series. So let's say there was a video that you created for all the staff, and go to that building move example again. Just letting everyone know what their responsibilities are. Like, hey, I need you to box up your desk. You can go to shipping and get additional boxes. I need you to label it just like I'm showing you right here. You could have a whole kind of training procedure on how to actually get ready for the big move. Or it could be an announcement from the president saying, hey, this is what's happening. This is why we're doing it. This is the impact. And this is what I need from all of you, right? So again, rather than having a file in the file section, that's the video, or rather than emailing it out to everyone, because maybe it's only pertinent to a particular section of your office or a particular group, in this case, the building move team, we only need to show it to them. I can go ahead and add a video to one of the tabs at the top and hit play, and now I can watch that particular video. What's cool about this, you remember this one, Rich. Rich did a great job on that one. So it's nice to be able to have access to all that at the top. And the last thing I'll show you too, and I'm going to show you how you add these in just a second, so bear with me. If I click on this one, I could also create a survey within here. This is called forms. And how do you like Teams? Love it or meh? It could be also, what are your top concerns about the building move? And you could list a slew of them and have other or whatever, however you want to lay out the survey, multiple choice, comment sections, all that's available to you. But again, it's really nice that I've got it set where all the major things about this building move team are all easily accessible right at the top for everyone to be able to access. So let me show you what we can do here is, if you want to add a tab, you just click on this plus sign here at the top, right? And this is where there's a lot of magic. These are out of the box, all kinds of stuff you can do. So as I did, you could add a Word document. You could add a website like I did, right? Forms was what I used in order to do that survey. So a really cool way to do a survey within a team. And you can actually post that survey across multiple teams and channels. PowerPoint presentation, you name it. But also Microsoft has its own built-in product called Stream. Stream is like, imagine a YouTube channel, right? So the video that I created is on our Stream channel. And also what I had to do was click on Stream, and I could browse and add the video that I had created on Stream to this. So it's just a really easy way to be able to add stuff to a Microsoft team, but it's referencing other things that are already in the cloud. So what's great about that is we're not creating multiple copies of things at all. We're always referencing the original copy, which really is helpful from a document management standpoint, that documents just don't run wild and get out of control. All right, any questions, Rich? All right, beautiful. So to get through this, because I promised I wanted to make it a half hour, so hopefully we won't go too much over that. Each one of these names are teams. So leadership team, sales is a team, demo team is a team, but then the things underneath them are called channels. So by default, when you create a new team, let me see if I find that, there's the test team that we created when we first started, right? General is available, and it says, welcome to the team. So by default, every team you create has a general channel, and you can just leave it at that. But there may be a need for you to want to expand upon that. And like I mentioned with the building team, right? A finance group, things like that. It could be where your company, depending on your size and how much stuff you really have, you could create a team that is just Sundog, your company name, insert your company name. And below it, you have accounting, sales, marketing as channels, keeping it really simple. And if I go into, in this case, we're in the general channel of the demo team, and at the top, this is where I put all those links that I showed you how to add by clicking on the plus sign. If I go to tech tips, I have the same thing at the top. So in the case of the building move, this could be finance, right? Or it could be in the case of you just got one team that's your company and you have your departments that are listed. Maybe this is just the accounting channel. Within it, I can click on the plus sign, and I can add all those things that I was talking about before. Super easy. I can create links to, maybe it's ADP, right, for doing payroll. Could be the bank, right? So when I want to access the bank, it's just right there. It takes me right to their login page. Everything's nice and easy. Could be our main financial spreadsheet is listed there. So when team members from accounting go into that particular channel, everything that they use on a daily basis is going to be sitting there easily available to them. All right, so let me look at my notes here. I wanted to make sure. So channels, really quick on that too. When we created the team, we were able to add team members to it. Same thing with channels, because you can restrict only one person, 2 people, 5 people, 20 people have access to an individual channel. So you can actually limit and control permissions on those. The easy way to do a lot of this, again, is the ellipsis, right? Click on the ellipsis, and you're going to see manage channel. You're going to see edit this channel, get a link to it. So if you were in one channel and someone in another team was accessing or asking about, hey, can I join this? Sure, here's a link to it. And then to answer the question from, I think it was Chris, you can get the email address. So it's not pretty, but it doesn't matter, because if I click on it, this is the email address, but they make it really easy. Just hit copy, and that's it. Now I would go to Outlook. I'll open up Outlook, and what's cool about this feature is, imagine, well, let's do the building move example. And a contractor emailed you and said, hey, I misquoted and my price is going to be double, and here's why, and it's a long explanation. Well, you need to notify the rest of the team of that. Now, you could forward it to them, right? But you also want to make sure that that gets captured, and other members may, especially if you have new people coming in and out, you want other members to be able to see that email from that particular contractor. So all you would do is, after I clicked on the ellipsis, right, and I hit get email address, and I hit copy, I go into Outlook, and that email from the contractor, I hit forward, and I put in that address by just pasting it in. And what it does is, you can see an example right here of an email I sent in. So I forwarded this email right to that email address for this team, and here's that email. So now it's captured for perpetuity. It's in the channel, it's right there, and it's accessible and searchable by others in the future. You can also click on view the original email, and it'll bring up the .eml file so you can see exactly what was sent. So a really cool way of recording a conversation or something that is of note in the Outlook world, which is usually external communications. It's a way you can capture it into Teams for internal communications. Rich, was there a question or no? All right.
There was not, no.
Beautiful, okay. Adding tabs, channels, notifications. Oh, and last thing I'm just gonna hit, since we're hitting the half-hour mark here right now, if I go into the ellipsis on the channel notifications, if I click on that, this is where you can get notified by if someone posts. So if you want to, let's say there's a particular channel that, you know, this is high priority. We're coming down to the wire for this building move, and I need the answers, and I need to make sure I'm communicating as soon as questions are coming into chat. What you can do is you can actually set it to all new posts. By default, it's off. But this means that anytime anyone posts in that particular channel, you're going to get a pop-up on your computer, and Teams is going to have a red icon on it letting you know, hey, something happened. You can go into Teams and find the latest communication. But like I said, by default, it's off. And then channel mentions. So this is anytime this channel is ever mentioned. And what that means is, Rich, if you could you go into the demo team, into tech tips, and then could you do the Hello Cohen thing real quick? What he's going to do is, I'm going to show you what happens when Rich posts something within tech tips. As soon as he gets there, jump the gun here on him. And you're going to see that nothing really is going to happen. So, right, no notifications, no anything. Now, Rich, can you do the same thing with the @Cohen? So you notice how the activity, and actually do it one more time, Rich. Let me get out of the channel, because let's say I'm in Outlook, I'm not in Teams, I'm not doing anything, and Rich goes ahead and does that. So you notice, I don't know if you can see it or not on this recording, but it popped up on my screen that Rich mentioned me. In Tech Tips, it bolded it and put a 1 next to it saying there's a new communication, and in my activity. So I got notified that, hey, there's something going on, Cohen, and you need to respond to this. So if I go into Tech Tips now, I'll see, hello, Cohen Barnes. What he did, and this is powerful in chat or in channel or wherever you end up doing this, if you do at in the person's name, there's Rich, and I hit enter, that is going to do the same thing on Rich's end. So if you're ever posting a chat where it's just, this is just kind of FYI, next time someone's in, I just want to make sure I didn't forget, hey, this is what's going on with a particular thing, you can just post it. But if you really want to make sure that people know, like, hey, I need a response, I need to make sure you see this, do at the person's name, or what's also cool, you can do at the channel. And now everyone in that channel is going to get notified that there's a new message that they need to pay attention to. So it's a really cool way of sending alerts out to multiple people. All right, Rich, any questions we got to hit before we wrap up?
I have 2 more.
Okay, shoot.
One from Colleen says, can you show us again where you get to, or where you go to copy the team email address?
Yes, okay. So what we do, and it's the channel. So I go over to the ellipsis next to whichever channel it is. I click on the 3 dots, the ellipsis, and I select get email address. Rich, can you see that on your end?
I can, yes.
Beautiful, okay. When you do that, it's going to send a little pop-up. All what you do is hit copy. And that's it. Now it's on your clipboard. Now you bring up Outlook or whatever you're doing, click on the to field in Outlook and do paste, which you can do paste by Control V on your keyboard, or you can right click on the to field and select paste, and it'll paste that address in there. So you don't have to write down that crazy long address. And now you've included that channel in the email conversation, which is really cool. What was the other one, Rich?
The other one's from Karen. It says, how do I keep my status the same without having it default to busy based on my Outlook calendar items? I want it to stay available.
Boy, that one, they may have me on that one. That I don't know off the top of my head, because I always love it to be busy. But okay, actually, good tip for you on that. When I have meetings scheduled on my Outlook calendar that I am in a meeting, phone call, physical, or a webinar like this, right? In the meeting event itself within Outlook, it's busy. But on calendar events, a lot of times I set reminders for myself, or maybe I want to block out a little time to, hey, I need to study or prepare for this webinar, right? But people can come and bug me if they want. I go ahead and mark that calendar event as free. So you'll see what I mean in Outlook. If you double click on the calendar event, one of the pull down options is going to be free or busy. If you mark it free, then Teams won't trigger and mark you busy during the particular event. On that note, so I can comment really quick, if someone might have noticed it was listed as do not disturb, I manually changed my, I gotta move you guys out of the way, I manually changed my status to do not disturb right now, which means no one can instant message me during this time, so I'm not distracted and I can focus on you all, right? That's available by just coming up here and clicking on the different statuses that are there. Something that's fun though, if you go into settings and go to privacy, you can manage priority access. So in this case, I added Rich because Rich is special. And what that meant is he can IM me because he is a priority person in Teams for me right now, even though I'm on Do Not Disturb, which allowed him to do that little test on tagging me in a particular post. So that's kind of a nice feature that if you do use Do Not Disturb, but you want to make sure that some people, my boss or whoever, that they can still get a hold of you, managing your priority access is one way to do that. And again, I just clicked on my picture up in the top here, and I went to settings, and that went ahead and did that. And man, before I forget, last tidbit, I swear, if you're like me, you start getting more and more teams, more and more channels, finding them sometimes and navigating them. can be a little bit of a pain, especially if there's a bunch that I really don't go to very often. I have access, but I really don't go to them very much. If I click on like tech tips here, I can click on pin. And what that's going to do is at the very, very top, there is the tech tips channel pinned. So for those of you that attended our last one for chat, I have a bunch of chats pinned that are just the most important chats that I'm in on a regular basis, and I don't want them to move down to the bottom of the pile. If you pin them, they're just easy access for you to be able to get those. All right, anything else, Rich?
There's not.
All right, well, with that, we're going to end this webinar. I hope there was some value here. Don't forget, you can go to our YouTube channel, which is just go to youtube.com, search for Sundog. You're going to find us, and you can find part 1, which was a deep dive on just the chat feature alone within Teams. And we'll be offering these webinars now. I believe it's going to be the first and third Wednesday of every month. And we're going to be highlighting Teams, but then also we're going to work on other technologies that we think are valuable, but then also so many of you filled out a survey last time and gave us a wide variety of really cool tech tips that you'd like to have. And we're going to be able to provide those to you in a webinar. And then also twice a month, we're going to be producing little bite-sized tech tips. So 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes of just neat things that, hey, I don't know if you're aware of it, but here's some cool features. And Teams has a lot of those too. Just little tips and tricks on how do you navigate around and do things really easy. So more to come. Again, I hope you enjoyed today's webinar. Feel free to reach out to us at any time. My name is Cohen Barnes, President and CEO of Sundog IT. You can call us at 815-991-2400, or you can go to our website at www.sundogit.com. Reach out to us in any way, shape, or form. Whether you're a customer or not of ours, I'm happy to answer a question if it's within my capability. But with that, take care, and I hope you all just have an absolutely wonderful day. Bye now.